The morning heat settled over Red Hollow like a held breath. Dust hung in the air, unmoving, as if the town itself feared to stir. The clap of violence cut through that stillness without warning, not loud, but sharp enough to turn heads. A single strike. Flesh against flesh. Final. Absolute. Ethan Cross stopped mid-step outside Calder's trading post. Through the warped glass window, he saw it. A man's hand fell away from a young woman's face, casual and practiced, the way a butcher wipes his blade after work. Her body rocked slightly, but she did not stumble. She did not scream. She did not plead. She straightened. That was what caught Ethan's attention. Not the blow, but the way she carried herself after it. Her shoulders squared. Her chin lifted. Her eyes, dark and steady, met the world with a silence heavier than any protest. Ethan's right hand drifted toward the revolver at his hip before his mind had time to argue. For nearly 6 years, he had survived by learning when not to get involved. Men like him lived longer when they kept their distance. But something about the girl's quiet defiance twisted deep inside his chest. A familiar ache he thought time had buried. It reminded him of a promise he once failed to keep. Inside the store, the girl knelt among broken glass, carefully gathering the shards of a shattered bottle. Her movements were slow, deliberate. Each piece was handled as if it could bite, because she knew it could. Her name was Tala Greyhawk. At 19, she carried her Apache blood not as decoration, but as endurance. Years of hard labor under Marcus Calder had etched exhaustion into her eyes, but they had not stolen her spirit. Blood touched the corner of her mouth. Her hands trembled. Her resolve did not. Calder loomed over her, thick-bodied and red-faced, smelling of tobacco and cheap liquor. "Careless little savage," he snarled. "That bottle cost me $1.50. You'll work it off." "Same as always." Tala said nothing. Silence had become her armor. The turquoise pendant at her throat caught the light as she bent to pick up another shard, the last gift from a mother buried far from this town. The door opened. A bell chimed. Calder turned, irritation already on his tongue, until he saw the man standing in the doorway. Ethan Cross filled the entrance without effort. Tall. Still. His coat was sun-faded, his boots worn thin from long miles. His eyes were the color of dry steel. Eyes that measured danger the way other men measured distance. "What's the trouble?" Ethan asked calmly. Calder scoffed. "No trouble. Just correcting an employee." Ethan's gaze moved past him, landing on Tala. Their eyes met for a fraction of a second. In hers, he saw pain, but also restraint. Strength. A kind of dignity the world kept trying to beat out of her. He had seen that look once before, in another life. That evening, Ethan sat alone in the Last Chance Saloon, whiskey untouched, memories heavy. Red Hollow buzzed with gossip, but no one spoke of what happened inside Calder's store. They never did. The sheriff belonged to Calder. The town council owed him money. Fear paid the rest. Miriam Cole, the widowed boarding house owner, finally took the seat across from him. "You saw her, didn't you?" she said quietly. Ethan didn't answer. "I've seen that look before," Miriam continued. "My husband wore it right before he picked a fight he couldn't walk away from. Someone ought to stop it," Ethan muttered. Miriam sighed. "Calder owns more than land. He owns silence. And girls like her don't matter to men like him." "Why?" Ethan asked. "Because she's native. Because she's poor. Because this town learned how to look away." That night, sleep refused to come. The ceiling creaked above Ethan as memories clawed their way back. Firelight, screams, the smell of smoke and loss. 10 years ago in New Promise, he had arrived too late. His wife, his son, a house reduced to ash. He had never forgiven himself. At dawn, Ethan rode out following a rumor. A cattle thief named Luis Ortega hiding near Calder's southern range. He found the man easily enough. What he didn't expect was what lay beyond. Hidden corrals. Branded cattle that didn't belong to Calder. Armed men guarding stolen herds. Proof of a rot that ran deeper than cruelty. Calder wasn't just abusive. He was bleeding the territory dry. Back in town, Tala cleaned her wounds alone in the narrow room above the store. She whispered an old prayer her mother taught her. Not for revenge, but for strength. For release. When she looked out the window, she saw Ethan Cross returning from the hills. His posture changed. Straighter. Heavier. Like a man who had finally accepted what fate demanded of him. The sun climbed high. At noon, Ethan cross-stepped into Calder's trading post again. This time, he didn't come to observe. A bound rustler lay across his horse outside. Evidence. Leverage. Tala stood behind the counter, hands moving automatically as fear and curiosity warred inside her chest. She had known men like Calder her whole life. She had never known a man like Ethan. "I hear you're holding someone in debt," Ethan said evenly. Calder sneered. "That girl's mine. I'll take her contract," Ethan replied. "Name your price." The room went silent. Calder laughed, loud and false. "She's not for sale." Ethan stepped closer. "Everything is," he said. "Depends how badly you want to keep breathing." Calder blustered. $300. Plus compensation. Ethan removed a folded document. "Territorial law outlawed debt servitude years ago. Your paper's worthless." Calder's hand twitched toward his gun. The Colt was already there, pressed gently, precisely, against his forehead. "I wouldn't," Ethan said softly. "Federal marshals are already riding." Outside, townsfolk pressed to the windows. For the first time in years, Red Hollow was watching. And for the first time in her life, Tala Greyhawk felt the ground shift beneath her feet. The tension in the store broke not with a gunshot, but with a step forward. Ka moved before anyone else could speak. She crossed the floor calmly, her boots barely whispering against the wood. In her hand gleamed a narrow Apache blade. Simple, worn, honest. Not a weapon meant for threats, but for endings. "I don't need my freedom purchased," she said evenly. Her voice was steady, clear, unshaken. "I was never owned." Silas Blackwood recoiled instinctively. For the first time, fear cracked through his cruelty. Not fear of death, fear of losing control. Cole shifted beside her, his presence firm as stone. "This stops now," he said. "She leaves today, paid for every hour she worked. And you'll be grateful this ends without blood." Blackwood swallowed his rage. The town watched from every doorway, every window. Even the sheriff stood stiff, pretending this outcome had been justice all along. 2 hours later, Dusk Creek witnessed something it never had before. Ka Whispering Wind rode out of town on a borrowed mare, her back straight, her face forward. No chains, no escort, just open road. Behind her, Blackwood stood frozen on his porch, anger boiling uselessly in his chest, a man exposed, diminished. The desert opened ahead of them, vast and unclaimed. Ka rode beside Cole in silence. She trusted the wind more than people. Too many men offered help only to collect payment later. "You didn't have to interfere," she said at last. "Yes," Cole replied quietly. "I did." She studied him then, really looked. The lines on his face weren't from age alone. They were carved by loss, by choices paid for in full. "Why?" she asked. Cole exhaled slowly. 5 years ago, I chased a bounty instead of staying home. When I returned, my house was ash. My wife, my daughter, gone." He paused. "I decided that day some people can't be saved. Today, I chose not to believe that anymore." Something tightened in Ka's chest. Unfamiliar, fragile. They camped that night beside cottonwoods and cold water. Ka washed the dust and memory of Blackwood's store from her skin. Cole built a fire, pretending not to watch her, failing every time. She was beautiful, but not softly so. She was scarred, upright, unbroken. "What happens when we reach San Carlos?" she asked. "That's your choice," Cole said. "I'll take you home, or I'll leave you where the land feels right." "And you?" "Maybe I stop running," he answered. "If I'm given a reason." Later, beneath the stars, Ka spoke softly. "I used to dream of being held by someone who didn't see me as something to fix." "You're not broken," Cole said. "You're the first right thing I've found in years." She leaned against him, not seeking shelter, just sharing warmth. For the first time in a long while, Cole felt something unfamiliar. Hope. At the edge of the San Carlos reservation, Jose Crow feather-weighted. His eyes hardened when he saw Cole. "Did he buy you?" Jose demanded. "He gave me back myself," Ka replied. That night, Cole stood before the tribal council. Elder Thomas Greywolf studied him carefully. "What do you want with our daughter?" Cole answered without hesitation. "I want her to choose freely, even if that choice sends me away." Silence followed. Then the elder nodded. "You may stay 3 days." 3 days passed like water through hands. On the third morning, Cole found Ka by the stream, turquoise beads woven into her hair, a sign of reflection. "You've decided," he said. "I have," she replied gently. "I need time. I need to stand on my own before I stand with anyone." Cole nodded, though the words cut deep. I won't be carried, she said. And I won't be someone's second chance. Then I'll wait without asking, he said. He rode out alone at sunrise. 6 months later, a letter arrived. No promises. No pressure. Just an invitation. A small ranch near Tucson. A place built to stay. Ka kept the letter unopened, yet close. Winter passed. Healing came quietly. 1 year later, the wind shifted. Ka saddled her horse. It was time. The ride south felt lighter with every mile. When she reached the valley at dusk, smoke curled from a modest ranch house. Horses grazed. A man stepped onto the porch. Cole McKenzie looked up. They stood facing each other. Older, steadier, unafraid. I wasn't sure you'd come, he said. I wasn't sure either, Ka replied. But the wind carried truth. Inside the house, Ka noticed a small wooden box, memories of what he'd lost. She said nothing. Some grief deserved silence. I built this place so no one would walk in afraid, Cole said. And if I hadn't come, then it would still be a good place. That night, under the stars, Ka spoke softly. I came because I chose this life. With someone who stands beside me. Cole reached for her hand. Slowly, respectfully. She let him. In the quiet heart of the frontier, 2 lives shaped by loss found something rare. Not rescue, not ownership, but choice. If you enjoyed this story, there's a lot more waiting for you. Just hit subscribe. He wrote in the comments which country you are watching from.